Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh, look, it's one of those mornings. I wasn't going to say this. I was just going to be, hey, good morning. It's the lives of our days for Tuesday, 26th September, the Daily Egg. It's the breakfast show. But really, frankly, I'm actually quite drained. A little, and also the sun shines in our faces. So we're doing the Daily Egg a little bit earlier. We're doing it earlier this morning because we've got a busy day, as everybody does. Really, is there anyone who doesn't have a busy day anymore? I wonder. I don't think so.
Rich people.
Yeah, I don't know. They're busy. The people who are making those, the 1% greed people, they're busy keeping it amongst themselves.
Yes.
So they're busy still. They're busy figuring out how to make everybody else poor so that they can be rich. This is why billionaires exist.
Busy as in doing something.
Everyone's doing something. Everyone's busy. Ugh. Yeah, everyone's so busy. We're all so busy running from ourselves and also earning money so that we can pay to live on planet. Isn't that crazy? We have to pay. Well, that's not crazy. But what other option do we have? Anyway, I've got a shoot on today, a really great shoot. I'm shooting fantastic models, two of my favorites, and the client is an absolutely favorite client of mine. Looking forward to showing you these images, but right before every shoot, just regardless of the fact that I've been doing it for so long and photographing, darling, as you know, is just everything. I photograph every day, all day.
Yes.
With my phone, I don't believe, everyone always asks, oh, what camera do you use? What lens did you use? Oh my God. What oven did you use? What hose pipe did you use to clean your car? Now, for God's sake. This is because this is a world where cosmetics creates beauty.
Sure.
Filters and fillers and cosmetics. It's also awfully fake that everyone assumes that everyone's doing their thing, their skill through...
I think tech too has a part to play in it. Because, now it's...
I can't see it.
Sorry.
No, let me move that. Okay.
So, photographer because the camera's amazing.
Right.
Right? Your phone is...
Because everyone's a photographer now with their cameras. No. Everyone can take photos.
Right.
I'm seeing everyone can take photos with a camera. That doesn't make that person a photographer. Likewise, I'm seeing a lot of articles written by AI. And you can always tell. I've been writing for as long as I've been alive. Well, not really. I'm 52. But I've been writing for a very long time. Writing prose, fiction, poetry, articles, news, journalistic pieces. In school, I loved essays. Everyone was like, impromptu, pop quiz, you have 1,000-word essay, and I'm like, yes!
Like the only one in the class.
Yes, no, but I went to, Super Grammar at the time was full of high achievers, and also boarding school. I went to an all-girls boarding school, and just really, really high. You have to achieve highly. But seriously, yeah, I am one of those nerds that enjoyed. I hated them other ones, but English is good. Anyway, so as I was saying, I can always tell when people have written, when people haven't written an article. Absolutely can realize when someone's plagiarized. Can recognize when someone has plagiarized, and absolutely know when someone's picked up thesaurus, a thesaurus, to just substitute every single word, and that's usually people of color. Unfortunately, because the Eurostring construct has made people of color and culture and people whose first language isn't English, but really now most of us, your first language is English because the language of Fiji officially is English, and also because you can't speak any other languages.
My only language is English.
Triracial. But that's how people get brought up in Fiji. If you're triracial and one of them happens to be Indo-Fijian, you cut the Indo-Fijian out. That's what they do. And, just because of the racial tension, etc. And because it's still considered a little bit, if you're Indian. Everyone who's got a little bit Indian likes to hide it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit that I was like that. But, you know.
When you were younger.
Yeah, when I was younger.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad that this happens in Fiji. I've always been made to feel ashamed for being Indian or Indo-Fijian. It's like, why? Hello? Why? But yeah, it's one of those. I don't know why we've gone off tangent here, but this is again talking about something. So we can talk about that on a larger scale. This is supposed to be the news hour, except I very rarely read the news, and it's not always an hour. And hopefully today it's actually less than an hour, and I might actually get some news pieces out because, yeah, I was going to say a whole slew of things, but I can't get too immersed in what I'm saying. But this thing of what you just said, darling, my darling, I may not have toast today because I'm before photographing. You know, I don't eat.
Sure. Egg's fine.
An egg is fine for energy, but I'd rather, you know, I don't eat before a shoot.
Yeah.
It's just it's the daily egg, and it's our thing. You and I, and my husband and me, and all of us, you know, we eat breakfast together. Right? I'll have an egg, thank you. So yeah, what you were saying about that is very interesting. I think it's parents do that they have good intentions, sadly.
Yeah, I know. It's,
because of the racial tension in Fiji. And kids, like you have had friends say to you who are half white and half Melanesian, when you were living in Papua New Guinea, that they thought you know.
Yeah.
And like they make fun of the Indian side.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's really crazy. And for starters, and also, Dwayne, not that matters, so understand this. Dwayne doesn't look Indian. And when guys say he looks Indo-Fijian, I'm like, you wish. Sorry.
I mean, like, okay, so the prime example is when I get into a taxi driver and the driver's Indian, they will automatically start speaking to me in Indian.
Well, that's really interesting because you do not look Indian to me. I did not when we met. Pick you as Indian. I was delighted to find out you were half Indian, half Indo-Fijian, and quarter indigenous.
So I've always thought I was,
not at all. Not that matters.
Yeah, I know.
Not that matters at all. It's very interesting how people make assumptions like that. But yeah, this thing in Fiji about people being ashamed to be Indian is really hurtful, and that Indo-Fijians who then get told, "Oh, you're not like the others." They wear that as badges.
Yeah.
And I've just like been, and of course I say that from privilege because I don't exactly fit a mold, do I?
So, and it goes back like, so my parents named me, my name is Dwayne Stewart Leeway. So you said my last name gets me, it's a privilege, right?
Well, because names are a big thing in any society, and particularly in a small but elitist society, but also cultural, and names are a thing because that's how we recognize where someone's from and their province, region, etc., etc.
Yes.
But yours is a name that is unusual in Fiji and in the world, and so plus your family is well known, and so then you immediately get everyone knows your family members, and it's all part of society, etc. So even though you consider yourself not part of society, that's by choice.
Yeah.
The fact that you were born into that name, etc.
Yeah.
It's also convoluted and very complicated. It's something perhaps we should get into because this is not news. But I was actually, So for me, it's always been a bit like, wow. And that's where I've understood how privilege works. So because I don't know. I don't know what to say. Do I not? I know I don't sound because we are so bigoted when it comes to the way we speak. People, I'm saying, the bigotry that happens. My accent, actually, the more I like when I'm with bigots, and when I recognize that my race or something, these will be people uglier than me and extremely inelegant and and I say ugly, I mean everything. I don't just mean physically. I'm just absolutely inelegant, horrible people who think that they can be bigots because they happen to be Eurostream white people. And it's like, and then my accent just becomes even more, when we're in Fiji, the accent, a sign of intelligence and compassion is blending. So when I'm in Fiji, my accent naturally mixes into, but my accent is a product of the Fiji I was brought up in.
Sure.
As is yours.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, but you have Australia and all other countries that you have been in.
So when I went to Papua New Guinea, everyone assumed I had like an Indian accent because I don't think most people knew what the Fijian accent was. So I think my accent was quite strong.
The Fiji accent is very strong. Now it is. And before, it was a bit more British. So, sure. So what? I mean, it's great that the accent has, I do listen to friends now who I absolutely remember what they talked like 30 years ago, and the accent has changed. But they still make fun of people in Fiji. They still say, bush accent or, who English you is is a slang way to say, oh gosh. So intelligence in Fiji is determined by how well you speak English.
That's right.
You could be a dumb fuck. Excuse me, beep. Too early in the morning, so I'm here to swear. But please understand, my vulgarity is an emphasis. It's not crass. I don't say, I'm sorry I'm going to have to say it like this, but this is one way for me to demonstrate or I'll give you an example of why I am not, I don't consider myself vulgar. I mean, because I'm not crass. So, because it's morning, we all know we do certain things, bodily functions in the morning. So, you know, bowel movement. But I'll never actually say, well, whatever the crass way of saying that is, I can't. I'm so prudish in some ways. So I'm not crass. No. I just use a lot of words that are considered vulgar. I don't know why. They're just words. And to top it all off, they're from a Eurostream, so they're not that vulgar. But anyway, so that's an interesting, that's a conversation we can actually get into on a deeper, on a different level. But having said that, I was reading an article about Rupert Murdoch. If you haven't heard the news, and I said that quite briefly yesterday, Murdoch has retired, and his third child, Lachlan, has taken over that terrible empire that Murdoch created to spy on people, to destroy people, to corrupt and sully the information highways, to create a false sense of news that no one ever really knows what the truth is. No one knows what the truth is anymore because fact has been corrupted and sullied. You know, News of the World, when Rupert Murdoch had that newspaper in England, holy cow, that was a newspaper that was spying on everybody, tapping phones, etc. And then, you told me this morning about Joe Calzaghe. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of Joe Calzaghe? If you're into sports, or if you're British, have you heard, or if you're into boxing in particular, Joe Calzaghe is considered one of Britain's best boxer, middleweight champion, undefeated, never lost a match, and no one heard him. No one heard of him. My point of this is that after his retirement, his phones were tapped and he was caught using cocaine. Look, drugs are shit. If you do, you shouldn't be doing them. Weak minds shouldn't do drugs. And also, everything in moderation. I'm a square. I'm not a person who I don't need drugs. And I don't think anyone really does. It's just that everyone's running away from something, except that there are some things that are medicinal. And if you've got to be silly or completely buried in a hole to not know how cannabis is treated now. Cannabis is considered absolutely a medical miracle. If my mother was alive, I would have put her on cannabis. Because
Panadol's a drug.
Panadol's the worst fucking drug.
What do people take for depression?
Alcohol's the worst drug. It kills your brain cells.
What do people take for depression?
Antidepressants, SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Look, I've got nothing against them. I have never taken them. I was prescribed them because if you've been following my account for a while, you know that I have, after 51 years, finally had to sort of confront myself and realize that, oh gosh, what's that thing niggling at me? Oh my God, it's repressed trauma, suppressed depression, and unconfronted bullshit in my life. Anyway, my doctor, a very trusted, respected doctor in New South Wales, a woman's health specialist, blah, blah, blah. When she finally heard all of this after knowing me for almost 10 years, she just went, look, I knew something. She told me. And so she prescribed that to me. And look, I was like, because at that stage, darling, I mean, when I first confronted everything, when I first confronted everything, so I was just looking at messages. I have to try not to look at them, but I've got to shoot today, so I've got to so I'll be periodically like, what? Doing that. So yeah, when she said that to me that she was going to prescribe, excuse me, I'm just going to have to reply to a message, and I'm really sorry. So please feel free to just stay, or it's going to pause for a moment. And I'm really sorry about that, but get yourself a cup of coffee or tea or something like that, or water, hot water, which is what I'm drinking. I've really got to reply to a message, two messages. I'm sorry. I'll be back in a moment. She says she can't hear. So I'm sorry if you can't hear. That's annoying. Does anyone know when that got muted? Because, just as well, perhaps, because I said a lot of things that were a little bit too heavy for morning. Darling, I've taken off the microphones. I don't know why they're muted.
Yeah, I'm just checking.
Just check. I'm sorry. I'm just going to check the microphones. Working now, but that's because I've taken the microphone out, so I don't really know what's happening. How frustrating, because I don't know where I ended, where I muted.
It's like...
Yeah, were they not? Mine's still blinking. But anyway, we'll just do it like this. So this was supposed to be the news hour, but again, it was not news. I was talking about news of the world, Rupert Murdoch's, and I don't know where it got muted. So I don't know where anyone heard up to, and I'm really sorry about that. This is really frustrating that this keeps muting like this. I tell you, Rupert Murdoch's out to go. It's got nothing to do with this network. Actually, they all have something to do with each other's network.
I guess so, right?
Yeah, all because they're the oligarchs of information. We talk about the Russian oligarchs, right? Oligarchy being a government run by money, not by governing, not by governance, not by the people. Which is, governments are never run by the people. People think that they voted these people in. But as I said in yesterday's live on Facebook, governments are there as guidelines. And governments are supposed to be there regardless of who you vote for. Regardless, because there's always been competition in this regard is healthy. It shouldn't be about that person is shit, but it should be about, look, this is what I can aim to do, blah, blah, blah. So when you vote for someone, it's all emotional. In politics, everything is based on emotion. In politics, right? So, gosh, where have I gone? Because I don't know where I've left off. I don't know where, when I say left off, I don't know where this got muted. And no one told me. So, anyway, apart from Duckany, I don't know, says thank you, honey. But yeah, I don't know where it got muted, so I don't know what you heard. I was talking about Rupert Murdoch, which was the news I had touched on briefly yesterday. The Daily Egg. But this as well, maybe I don't want to rehash all those. Those are things we can talk about being Indo Fiji, etc. And yes, absolutely help bring Trump to power, which again, there is some Trump news and Biden news I have shared on other platforms, but not here, because I guess the news hour very rarely actually it's about news. This is why One Take News Season 2 is about to hit. I figured, you know what, the Daily Egg, we talk about every little thing. So we'll take a little bit of news, like for instance, so yesterday because Rupert Murdoch, and I was talking about Murdoch and how Lachlan, his third son, has taken over. And his last, I don't know how many kids he's got. He's got about, the time. Right, so Rupert's got 1,000 children. They all have. These billionaires who like to spread their seed, to propagate the world, to make more of them. It's very colonizing. Look, colonization's not over. Certainly not in Fiji. Not the world. It's not over in the world. So Rupert, so Lachlan Murdoch, right? So, Trump, there's a little bit of news about Trump. Trump is pulling ahead in the polls.
What?
He is ahead in the polls. Biden is failing because people hate Biden. And he's the lesser.
He's running...
No, he's running for president again. Oh, my darling.
Oh, my God.
No. He's running, and he's pulling, he's coming ahead. And that's because people hate Biden. And because voting is not compulsory in the fractured states of America, fractured states of North America, people get complacent. And now people have just got apathy. People are like, ugh. No, people are now not apathy, because that's what voted. That's what got Trump in, because people can't be bothered, and people always think, well, they'll vote. I don't have to do anything. So that's the attitude. So this is why I think voting is a real civil responsibility. But going back to what governments should be, sorry, my picture. What governments should be, when they're voted in by the people, so regardless of who you voted for, let's just say the people you voted for, the person. You also understand voting, particularly in Australia, is about constituency. So you can only vote for the person in the who is representing the area you live in. It's you didn't vote for the person sitting, etc. So what was I saying? So what government should be that the people you vote for, even if the ones you didn't that you vote for didn't win or get inside, get a seat, etc. They should still be people you go, well, look, okay, people in government should still be people you'd like. Our government ballots, our voting ballots, you've got to put 1, 2, 3, 4 in the order of who you want, or just one. There's lots of options because people know this. There's not really anyone to vote for, and that's the problem with the United States. There is no one standing up because no one wants to. No one's ready. I know you say AOC. She's not ready just yet. I know. And AOC.
No, eventually she needs to be. She will be.
Eventually she will be. Not yet. And I think
she's smart because she's not running because she knows that.
Sorry, my thing just got.
She knows that. Yeah. So.
And it's yeah. So, but Alexandra, is that her name? She's fantastic, but she really does need some voice coaching, unfortunately. Americans, I'm sorry to say, there's very few that I hear with really, really good accents. Unlike some of my friends, actually, my friends do. My friends have really good voices, and they're, funnily enough, voice people. So, no, AOC is not ready. And there's not really anyone else. And people will say things like, oh, Michelle Obama, no, please, no. Poor woman, not poor woman, she's great, she's wonderful. But no, after all the crap she and her husband and children had to endure whilst being in that colonizer's house, that house built by slaves, as she reminded everybody, that one brief moment in time where people in the States felt like, ooh, maybe there is hope for us. But unfortunately, that's just not the case. But also, people hate Obama, and not just the white Americans, not just them. There's actual brown and black people, because they go, and again, there's there's something about Syria in the news today with Australia. But for instance, he's had to look. If you have never been in a position of leadership or decision that has to impact people, I don't think you have a right to say anything about people in positions of leadership. If those people are not actively destroying, if they're actively trying to create something good, like say, bloody Obamacare, which is similar to Australia's Medicare, getting people free healthcare apparently was a real problem, because people in the States feel, no, you only deserve good health if you work for it. But it's not quite that simplistic, because that almost makes it a little bit. But when you say you work for health, if you eat chocolates and cakes and shit all day, like that, and then expect to have good health, well, that's a problem. Okay, if you don't exercise and if you drink alcohol, and then and then I actually have no sympathy for people like that. Particularly people who are unwell, and then when they get better, when they get fixed, they go and do the same old, and then I think, yeah, I'm done with you. First time around, it's human. The human body, it has got things that happen. Things happen to the human body. This is why the brain then evolved people who were able to help heal it. Hands of God kind of thing. So, so with Michelle Obama and all that stuff. So with Obama, with leaders, with anyone in positions of leadership, sometimes, and as also people seem to forget about Obama, he was the one president with the filibusters he had to put up with. Again, we'll talk about this later, but filibusters are when people storm Congress, basically, and stand and talk and continue until their point is made through. He'd have all of Congress against him.
Yeah, because they're all Republican. The entire Senate.
So, yeah, I do not want the Obamas back in power, because they deserve to live their life or whatever. And so, all these black and brown people love putting them down. I can't believe how badly they put the Obamas down, because Barack had to make some decisions based on a long term, and because he couldn't fight the system by himself, Because when they're behind those doors that we don't know, he's with all these white generals who say, I'm sorry, Mr. President, as Commander-in-Chief, you must listen to us military people. There is danger to the land of America. Press that button. And so they blame Obama. Why aren't you all blaming Trump? He is actually one of the few, not one of the few, people like him, the money people, are the ones who are fucking destroying all this anyway. And so before he became president, he was already ruining shit. Yeah. But anyway, I was saying this about Trump and Biden, right? So unfortunately, Trump may have a chance because everyone is being extremely, I don't know what the word is. Everyone's so scared. I think people in the States are scared. Black Americans are terrified.
Last I heard, Trump was going to jail. What happened?
I don't know. He was indicted. But I think these are just polls. I'm not sure if he's running. But in polls. Because, no one's listening to... And these polls are bullshit. Who's but ABC News, which is supposedly an impartial news, in Australia as well, but in the States, they ran the poll. Because I have, and I really I do want to share it, and I've got to read the excerpts of this out, but I do have to go because I have to go. There's an article that I have had bookmarked since 2010, and periodically I have read it just to sort of keep an eye out on what's happening. So every time something major happens, and since 2010, I look at the article and I will go, "Woo, this is an interesting article," because it was based on a global prediction report for around 2025, and I will have to read this to you. So when I come back from the shoot later on this afternoon, maybe I will be ready for you tomorrow morning's Daily Egg, and I will read out excerpts of this article, which predicts the demise of the United States of America, and how and what happens along the way. And it is fascinating, and I read this out on my Facebook Live, and also I have it on there. So it'll be an article on the Starlander soon. But it is fascinating to see the machinations and the manipulations of those in power, and how it really can be predicted. As I said yesterday, I don't know where, I think it might have been on the live, if you can see patterns, you become psychic. And if you see patterns, you can also exploit it. And this is what people do. They spend a lot of money on research and pattern seeing. It's not research about, what have we done? How can we make ourselves better? Bullshit! People don't do research. Governments don't do research like that. They do research for what can we do in the future? What's happening there? I need to make decisions based on the future. That's terrible. No one makes decisions based on the present. Or if people make decisions based on the future, it's to profit.
Wow.
But I will read excerpts of this. It's a very fascinating article, and so Trump and also reasons why Biden is not as
He's old, man. It's like 100.
So's Trump.
Yeah, I know.
It says Trump leeches off young women to stay vital looking. So he puts his IV drip because he can't put his penis in whatever her name is.
So,
ew, yuck. I can't believe I just thought of Trump's penis. Gross. Ah!
So yeah, that's why Bernie Sanders isn't running anymore.
Bernie Sanders
because
should have.
He said, I'm too old.
Yeah, he is too old, and he's been, if you read his history, he's always been, at it. But Aradhana is, she obviously, Aradhana follows US politics because you have to.
It's like the world politics.
It's world politics. Because
it's distracting us from the real.
Yes, but every country's decisions. You have to follow China, you have to follow the States, and you have to now follow India to understand what's happening in the world, and also what's happening the struggles between China and Taiwan. No struggles. Taiwan struggles with China because Beijing wants Taiwan back.
Power.
People, but as I said in yesterday's live, I am not anti-China. I am not anti-China. I love the Chinese. I love China and China's ancient, and as I said, and plus he's quite Chinese. But I've loved China since before that. I mean, I've lived in, I just, and for me, they are definitely a world power, and they have always been a world power. And it's just that they've been relegated to the world's factory, and now they're saying, I gotta go. That's me saying I gotta go. So thank you very much for being here on the Daily Egg on Tuesday, September 26th, 2023. Apologies for the, again, no news hour, but a little bit of news, And I will come back with news tomorrow, maybe. But definitely One Take News Season 2 coming your way, where I deep dive the headlines that have sort of attracted me throughout the week. And I will I do this live. So, like I do everything. So join us then, but we'll see you tomorrow. Or we might be back this afternoon. Who knows? We might have something to talk about. But we've both got a bit of an intense work day, so we may not want to. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Mwah. See you later. Bye.